we got a big update on the Lauri Markkanen trade yesterday. Now listen,
Marty,
here on the show, we're humble. Hello?
Stay hard.
We're humble. And we know how to use our own equipment. So
yay!
When we tell you, that usually we're ahead of the national media by a week or so. And then Shams posts a video yesterday updating the Lauri Markkanen trade. I mean, how could we not partake?
The Warriors and Jazz, they have continued conversations. It's just the Jazz are in a position right now, and they wouldn't be even thinking about moving Lauri Markkanen if this was a team that is trying, like Ryan knows, if you're trying to compete and win, that's a guy you compete and win with. This is a team that obviously is going down more of a rebuilding path, and if you're going to rebuild and you're trying to compete for not a playoff berth, but probably the number 1 overall pick, you have to consider. I don't think they want to move Lauri Markkanen, but if the Golden State Warriors put in a Brandon Podziemski, and from what I'm told, 3 first-round picks, 3-4 unprotected pick swaps, 3-4 second-round picks.
Is that a name?
Kuminga's a name, but I think the Jazz, from everything I've been told, the Jazz are more focused on Brandon Podziemski and his inclusion in the deal, all the picks being in the deal. And I think from the Warriors' perspective, it's Podziemski, but then there's not all the picks. And if it's all the picks, then there's not going to be a Podziemski. And so this could be a back and forth, but both sides are kind of entrenched right now at where they're at, saying nothing is going to change. So only time will tell, but I think the Jazz are very comfortable with extending Lauri Markkanen, and at that point, you'll see more suitors potentially as well in him, not just teams that feel like, okay, we'll be able to re-sign him.
There you go. That is Shams on Sirius XM, and the only thing I disagree with there is that if the Jazz extend him, I'd remind you they can't trade him this season. He is due for an extension August 6th. Is the first day he can sign that extension. And if they do sign him to that extension, they cannot trade him for 6 months, which would be February 6th, which is the exact NBA trade deadline.
Right.
So August 6th is looming. That's why there's not a sense of urgency to get this done. But I agree with him 100%. I think Podziemski and I think all those picks is not going to happen. I think Golden State will not trade Jonathan Kuminga. I think that Golden State is the one that would rather trade, Pod instead of Kuminga, because I think they view Podziemski as a guy that they can replicate him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that they believe they can replicate Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State. I think they really like him. I've been told that repeatedly. I think the Jazz asked for Kuminga and the Warriors said no. And my belief is the Jazz are going to trade Lauri Markkanen. It's a matter of, will it be to the Warriors this season or will it be next summer? Because you watched that Summer League action last night, and I use the word action lightly. The Jazz don't have a future star on this roster. And we can debate that all day long if you guys want. But what I'm telling you is, I think it's 70%. I'll move from 65 to 70% now. I think the Jazz trade Lauri Markkanen. I don't think it's something that they're pressing to do. I don't even think it's something they want to do. I think they know from a basketball business perspective, they have to trade Lauri Markkanen before they extend him. Because I would also remind you, what Shams wrote at The Athletic yesterday. And I think it's really important that people understand this, that Lauri Markkanen's got a pretty interesting contract situation, because you start to understand that he needs to get his contract renegotiated for this coming season. And what have we been telling you? It's going to be $33 to $35 million for this coming season. Why is that number significant? Because when you look at his current situation, at the end of the year, he's due for an extension. To get that larger extension, he has to be making $33 to $35 million this season.
Well, and I think it's like what you said. I mean, obviously, if you're going to trade
Laurie, it's got to be to a team that's willing to extend him and a team that he's willing to play for on the extension. And I think that can get discounted a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to, as an organization trying to work with the Jazz on a marketing deal, you're not going to be excited to do that if you know that marketing's not looking to play for you long term. So that's why I think initially the Warriors were a great fit, because they're sitting here having just lost Klay Thompson to the Mavericks, and they have a clear need, and Markkanen fits a lot of their needs. And I have to say, I would have no problem seeing the Warriors bounce right back with Markkanen in your starting five versus Klay Thompson, because Klay Thompson just wasn't the same guy. And even if he has some renaissance with the Mavericks, and even if, he's an all-star and he finds his form again, I still think Markkanen is a great fit with the Warriors.
Yeah, and you look here at what Shams wrote. And that bottom paragraph really is the most pressing, because this is exactly what we've told you. And Shams wrote this yesterday, by the way, at The Athletic. A renegotiation and extension allows him to receive more money now. For him to reach his maximum salary in 2025-26, the Jazz would need to raise his 24-25 salary to at least $33,138,000, which requires at least $15.9 million in cap space for the current season. So if you are the Golden State Warriors, do you have that kind of cap space? You don't. And if you make a Markkanen trade, I again will tell you, these numbers mean Andrew Wiggins has to be moved as well, because they simply do not have the cap space to make this deal and stay out of the upper aprons of luxury tax.
Right.
They just don't. You're adding a guy in Lauri Markkanen that you are going to pay, probably, my guess is $34 million this coming season. And so many people are saying, well, Monty, you're wrong. He's making $18 million. That's all well and good. He's going to be paid $34 million this coming season. It's as simple as that, or you're going to lose him.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get this right. You're not gonna renegotiate and extend him. You're gonna give up Podziemski, and you're gonna give up a haul of future picks for a 1-year rental. How does that work with Steph's timeline in Golden State?
It doesn't.
It doesn't at all. And you're not going to give up one of your better young players that you've had in recent times in Podziemski to have a 6-month rental, 8-month rental. You're not doing that. You have to renegotiate and extend him. It's as simple as that.
Well, and I think that Danny Ainge and the front office are, playing this dangerous game with Markkanen, where, Markkanen, so if you don't trade him and you're not necessarily looking to extend him, you're risking him being able to walk away and you having gotten nothing for him. Now, I don't think they'll allow that to happen. Obviously, I think that they're not going to put themselves in a bad position. But I would be really surprised if you kept him and then tried to work out the extension. And I only say that because right now the Jazz are not in spending mode. Right now, you look at everything around that organization, whether it's the building renovation, the hockey team, other stuff with Ryan, or if you just look at the Jazz roster in totality, you're looking at a roster that is extremely budget friendly. Obviously, multiple rookie deals working on that cap right now. Like, you've got a lot of cheaper money happening on that team right now, and that's fine. But my point is that you're not going to have Lauri Markkanen making $34-35 million a year on a potential extension, and then everybody else. I mean, that to me is, for the Jazz, what doesn't make good business sense. Hey, we're going to have all these young guys on our roster, and then we're going to have Markkanen and JC, and they're going to make the lion's share of the money, I guess, and then everyone else is going to be on rookie deals. That's the roster you're trying to put together. I don't see that either. So that's why I say I agree. I don't know that they necessarily love the idea of trading Lauri, But I think you kind of have to trade him. I think it's the right deal to do. You're not in win now mode, and this guy clearly is. This guy is someone who could go to the Warriors or whoever and instantly take them back into the championship conversation. So that's why I say I do agree that logically speaking, it would make sense to do this deal. Now, it's not going to appease fans. It's not going to make you feel great about your on-court product, but it does make sense financially. And it does make sense with where, the organization is at with their, with Ryan's willingness to spend money. And by the way, it does make sense for your timeline for when you're allegedly going to start doing anything known as winning for this team. Like the timeline works. So that's why I think the trade probably gets done.
Yeah, I think it is going to be one of those things where the Jazz know, I think, from what I've been told anyway, the Jazz know they have to do this deal. You're in a position now where it's interesting talking to people in the know about the Jazz. There is a overwhelming rationale going on now, realization, rationalization. This question of do they have a future star, a franchise caliber player on the roster with the Utah Jazz? Do they currently have that?
No.
I don't believe they do.
You can't confidently say that.
I don't believe they do.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where you're in a situation that you've missed now on a lot of picks. You've missed now on a lot of picks. And if you are not concerned about what you are seeing from Taylor Hendricks in Las Vegas, it is really concerning.
Yeah, well, I mean, the guy is still not shown that he has the ability and the fire to be in a starting five in the NBA, let alone the Jazz starting five. And I think that's my biggest problem is that the guy, and I'm not even saying this is the Jazz fault per se. Now, I disagree with what they did with him last year. I would have had him up in the NBA the entire year, playing 15 minutes a night, and putting him in different matchups and really, stretching his game. Okay, how far can we take it with Taylor Hendricks? Can he hang with a three, or is he strictly a four who can, guard a certain type of five? Like I would have been, experimenting and running him out there and seeing what it is, because ultimately you won too many games last year. And that's why Cody Williams is on your roster and not Dalton Connect or someone else, right? Like, and ultimately it's a situation where the Jazz seemingly don't take seriously enough or don't prioritize it enough to go out and lose enough games. And I'm sorry, but that's where they're at right now. Like you can't both. So you can't on one hand say, yeah, we're doing everything we can do to win. But then when it's your turn to lose as many games as possible to win in the future, you don't do that either. And that's what I feel like the problem right now is. You're not executing.
Well, because I also think that the organization wasn't on the same page last year. I think you're looking at a Jazz front office that is split on some levels throughout last season. And when I say split, Ryan Smith in the front office, I don't think had a similar vision. Ryan Smith is putting money back in his pocket because of all the expenses he has coming with infrastructure. And I think it is very clear this is not the story we were told. Sure, things changed. He gained access to an NHL team. Totally understand it. But please don't tell me that you're going to keep Lauri Markkanen because you believe you can build around him. You and I both know that is a pile of dung.
Yeah.
You're not doing that. And so all of that to say, when I look at this Jazz roster, Kuminga, in my opinion, is worth the risk. Is Podziemski a guy that you're like, hey, this is a guy we can build around? I don't know that we've seen that yet. What is he like as a 35-minute-a-night guy?
Well, I think that the question around what his top end is from a stats perspective, it remains to be seen. But I think what you know about this guy is who he's been around. And you watch him on the select team for Team USA as an example in their scrimmages. If you've watched him in the regular season, you know that this is someone who clearly has taken a ton of stuff from Steph. The game is similar, the way he moves on the floor. Obviously, he's not the shooter Steph is. I'm not saying that, but just like the way he can get a guy on his hip at the mid range and then dish to the corner, or there are flashes.
That little
of Steph
drive
game.
into the paint with a guy on your backside.
Yeah.
And you either get fouled or you kick it for an open look. I agree. He has obviously been impacted and influenced by Steph.
Yeah.
I don't know what the ceiling on Pod is. It'll be interesting to find that out.
Well, maybe his ceiling is dependent on the roster you've got around him. I mean, if you've got, again, if Pod is on, the Jazz, let's say, yeah, you're probably not going to get the same number of assists and production as he, would give you on a better team. But I think that brings us back to what the Jazz have on this roster right now. I mean, this Cody Williams situation is, again, I know it's early in dude's career, right? I mean, obviously he's a rookie, just got drafted, first summer league. I get all that. I totally understand that. And I'm not even saying he can't turn this jumper situation around, but the jumper is a problem, man. Like, it's not just that he can't shoot the three. He's not a reliable shooter in any area on the floor. Like, currently he's a transition athlete, get to the rack guy. And if you're going to have a guy like Pod on your team, you got to figure out how to have shooters around him.
Well, and I think, yeah, Podziemski's a guy that I don't know if that's enough to get it done. I don't have a clear understanding of what his projection is. And the Jazz have not so far been good at projecting guys forward, having a vision and then developing that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Pods is a guy that I would love to see them have, but I'm with you. I also wonder, does Pods cost you Keontae George? Because I'm all in on Key. I'm all in on the guy.
But we know where they are on him, too.
They don't consider him a number one.
Yeah.
And that's fine, I guess. I am terrified about Cody Williams. The guy can't shoot the three. And everybody on Twitter the other night, I appreciate you, talking about how I don't know shit from Shinola about Cody Williams. Well, what did you see last night? The threes he missed were not attractive. What are the highlights we're seeing of him? Dunking the basketball, getting out in transition, getting to the rim. That's who the guy is.
Hey, if that's 25 a night in the summer league and 15 a night in the regular season,
You are who you are.
Knock yourself out, dude. But I'm just simply saying that when you look at the roster build, you can only have so many of those guys on your team before you start to suffer the consequences of scoring 80 points a night. Because make no mistake about it, in the regular season, Cody Williams is not getting to the rack with the same efficiency that he is in summer league. And
100%.
That people forget that. People forget that, hey, this is still summer league. So against an NBA veteran guy who's been in the league 5 years and is way stronger than Cody Williams and can see the first step coming a mile away, he's going to be all over him. And that's probably going to be a turnover or a lost possession, meaning it's just going to be, hey, there's 5 seconds on the shot clock, move it to somebody and do what you can.
Well, and I also wonder if you are the Warriors, what's the end game here? Keep the goal in mind. Restock, give Steph a solid number two, which I don't think you currently have, because Kuminga or Pods, neither one of them has shown that they can be, hey, this is my running mate.
Yeah.
You need another star on that roster. Obviously, Draymond's a role player at this point in his career. I think we saw that during the finals 2 years ago in Boston. I think the goal and the vision has to be clear for the Warriors. You're trading for Lauri Markkanen to extend the championship window for Steph.
And I do think Markkanen is good enough to be a number two.
He does that.
Yeah.
If you can put a lineup out there, and I don't need, listen, if you're the Jazz, do you really need Gary Payton? You don't. Do you really need Kevon Looney? You don't. You don't.
No.
I don't think you need that. Be focused on picks and a young player. That's it. And if it's Moody and Pods, or if it's I still maintain if it's Kuminga, Moody, and 3 first-round picks, do the deal right now today. That's highway robbery. Put on a mask and a gun, and you do that deal today. Because that's a no-brainer. Now, Pods and Moody and 3 first-round picks is, again, this is where I don't know what too much is. I do know the Jazz have always held their bars really high in trade. They're always going to ask for your mom and your sister. Like they're getting both.
Yeah.
And if it's Pods and Moody and 3 first-round picks, I'm probably doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love that deal, but if you're the Jazz, I mean, what,
But
where else are you going to go?
But
I mean,
what are you truly?
I agree with you. They don't need guys like Gary Payton Jr. and Kevon Looney, and you don't need like established veterans in this league. What you need is, and again, maybe this, shepherds us into the Will Hardy portion of the conversation, but you need guys who can be molded and developed. And we are not the only ones who have questions about Will Hardy. I mean, there have been a lot of folks talking about like, hey, what's up with this Walker Kessler situation? And my biggest thing, having watched this team before and now during the Will Hardy era, is under Quinn Snyder, you could see adjustments being made and dudes like trying to do what Quinn is saying. Hey, like this is your role in the offense. Like Rudy, I need you to set a more quality screen to give Don a little more airspace.
They didn't always buy in.
Yeah, but at least they were doing something.
There was a vision.
Yeah, like you could see it. I don't even see a vision. I don't even see like, a path forward, a plan. Like, what do we do? Like, if I ask the Jazz this right now for this coming season, what even is the goal? What is the goal? Like, put the Lauri thing aside. What's the goal for the organization this season? Because you can't tell me the answer should be winning more ball games. Not when Cooper Flagg is sitting there and you damn well know that you should try and go and get him. Like, come on.
Yeah, I think it is. It's very difficult. They've got to trade Andrew Wiggins because I'm pretty sure the Warriors are hard capped. So I think you're in a tough spot. And I look at the guys on this roster, and I think you are in a position where I don't know that there's a lot of value here.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I like Buddy Hield. I think that was a good pickup, but Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton, those are not Lauri Markkanen type deals. So there you have it. One other thing that I think is really important. It's amazing to see the fall of Zach LaVine and his absolute zero trade value. He's just a guy that they have tried in earnest now for 2 weeks to trade, and they have not gotten I was told yesterday that Chicago Bulls don't have a tangible offer for Zach LaVine.
Right.
Not one single tangible offer came in on Zach LaVine. And yes, the money is prohibitive. But are you telling me there's not a team out there?
It's not just the money, dude. There's money for days in the league. Let's be real, right? Like there's guys are making more money than they've ever made. Money's going to change hands. Like this is not about the bank account. This is not about his number. This is about, hey, can your knee last even 30 games a year? And that's not an exaggeration. Dude misses more time than really anybody in the modern day that I can think of. And again, he's not Ben Simmons level injury, right? I mean, at least he plays games.
Ben Simmons, again, is in the best shape of his career, and he's ready for a big year.
Whatever, dude. 10 games in, his back's going to hurt again. I'll believe it when I freaking see it.
Yeah. All right, real quick. Brandon Butler, a member for 18 months.
Yeah, sorry. You got some donations happening.
Hard to have a vision when you don't have a direction. Hard to cook when you don't have what you're making. I don't disagree with that at all. James Stadium guy who loves Buc-ee's. Ooh, more donations coming in. I took my credit card off, put it back on, and my Venmo worked. P.S. I need more books. Working on a new project. I'm reading right now and listening.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it is encouraging that you can read. I'm proud of you for that.
That is his.
This one right here. For the
Yes.
kids, P.S. My video about new Texas Longhorn IPF and Texas Tech football ops building have been posted. Okay.
What? No barbecue sandwich?
No Buc-ee's shout out. $100 Amazon or
And
$100
this
donation.
is Calford.
Way to go, Calford. I appreciate that. Did we get some? Did you comment? I guess it doesn't matter if he commented, does it? I don't think it matters. Now we're cooking with gas, though. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. What?
Our San Diego contingent's coming through right now.
Really?
Yes.
All right, let's go. There you go. I appreciate that, Calford. $100 donation. Let's go. That's great. And you guys, again, if you're just tuning in, Advocates donations on Venmo, we're going to give away a $100 Amazon gift card. To get in, your minimum is $20. And if we can, I mean, I don't know. Let's get crazy. If we can.
Oh, let's see how far you take it, man. I mean, the more donations we can get, the more we're able to, the more we'll give back to you guys.
Yeah, certainly. I'm always
And
happy
we've
to
had
do
some big
that.
donations come in here. The last two have been over $50.
Okay, so here's $100 from Calford.
Yes.
And then
This is our boy Glenn in San Diego.
San Diego State Glenn with a $50
And he
donation.
specifically asked me to put the snapshot of homegirl from San Diego State in there.
Adela Della Torre.
Yes, Della Torre, yes.
There,
And he's got the memo
on
there.
behalf of Aztec Nation, playing the pro rata long game and providing program chuckles since 2023. I love it. I absolutely love it. Glenn, welcome to the contest.
Well
See,
done.
That's what this is about.
Really well done.
And Adela Della Torre, the queen of San Diego State University, who talked about the pro rata they deserve. You're never getting over that. You're never getting over that. Find your Venmo right here. Minimum $20 donation. Today is Amazon Prime Day. I'll let you choose. Do you want a $100 Amazon gift card? Do you want a copy of NCAA Football 25? It's up to you, man. We are here for you. Is there something that you've been eyeing for Amazon Prime Day? Because as soon as the show is over, Jake is going to email you a $100 Amazon gift card that you can immediately turn around and spend on Prime Day.
Yes.
See, the synergy on the showroom.
So keep working. Keep working.
The synergy on the showroom is absolutely working. Maury Alvarez, first one in, that always gets you value. Like, you're looking at these guys, and
yes,
finally, our guy James figured out how to use Venmo. I'm proud of you,
dude. Really well done. You've grown up in life. Really proud of you, dude.
But when you have a $100 donation, who'd you say?
Calford.
Calford makes a $100 donation.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's probably in the lead.
By the way, is Brandon Butler here? Brandon Butler here?
Brandon Butler is here.
We took care of our dude last week.
Brandon Butler won an Xbox Series X and a copy of NCAA Football 25.